And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Wednesday, July 2nd, a short work week for many. And it feels like summer out there. Temperatures in the mid-80s across the area. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette, how's your day going so far?
Absolutely excellent. And yeah, we're in the throes of summer. We are going to continue to see temperatures that impact the crop, whether it's somewhere that you're wanting some heat for corn. Maybe right now, as we're seeing wheat filling its kernels, we don't necessarily want heat at specific stages, but nonetheless, I know that there's a bigger corn crop out there than there are wheat acres, so a lot of folks would like to see that corn take off.
Yeah, and boy, this weather is definitely conducive for that, that's for sure. We've got some hot, humid weather for the next couple of days. Today, humidity levels aren't that bad, but as we head into the end of the week and the 4th, boy, it really, you'll notice a big difference. Currently in the mid-80s, we'll make it up pretty close to 90. We'll call it 89 today with light winds out there and mainly sunny skies. Now, we can't rule out there's an isolated chance for a pop-up storm just north of the FM area here as we head towards evening, but 90% of us are going to remain dry. And then tonight, clear skies, lows in the low to mid 60s. And then as we head into Thursday, it is going to be humid with southeast winds increasing a little bit, about 10 to 20, and highs in the low 90s. We'll see a round of storms west and north of the FM area as we head into Thursday night, basically on a line from about Jamestown through Grand Forks. Now, could we get clipped here in the FM area by the tail end of that system? Possibly, but we'll keep it dry for now. And then sunny, hot, and humid on the 4th of July. A little breezy, and we're going to see storms come in as we head towards evening. I know that's not the best news, but it looks like some of those storms could be on the strong to severe side. So the daytime hours look okay at this standpoint, but as we head after 7 o'clock, our storm chances pick up quite a bit here in the FM area, a little later in Lakes Country. So, again, we'll kind of fine-tune that as we head into tomorrow on the timing of the storms. And then over the weekend, we dry things out and we'll cool it down back into the 70s. And this weather is brought to you by Progressive Ag Risk Management Specialists. So, all in all, not a terrible-looking forecast. A lot of heat, a lot of humidity. I wish the timing of the storms could be a little better because I know a lot of people probably have fireworks plans on Friday night, and boy, it looks kind of iffy at this standpoint. Let's hope that changes by the time we head into tomorrow.
You know what? If it's not fireworks, well, crap, shoot them off on the 5th and play a great game of cards in the meantime, right? There's always ways around this.
See,
It doesn't have to be the end of the world.
There you go. And be sure to be listening. We're going to have a couple things to give away today. Well, we're going to do the weather trivia rain gauge giveaway, and we're going to get a qualifier, hopefully, for our great grocery giveaway. So we're just giving away the whole farm today, Bridgette.
That would be the truth. And that's okay. We've got a lot of good things. Now, I also want to point out that as it gets to be July, one other thing that comes to us here in the state of North Dakota is Project Safe Send. And this is done by the Department of Agriculture. You can always go to their website to double check for the details, but we have upcoming dates for Project Safe Send. What is that? The Department of Ag will collect unused and unwanted pesticides. So perhaps you've got that partial jug of something in the garage. And for the love of all things holy, please tell me you left it in the original container so we don't have to do a guess of what it is. But they can take those items, those unwanted, unused pesticides, and they can remove them, get them out of the garage, the shop, the wherever, and dispose of them properly. Now, if you are an agribusiness, you are limited in size. I think it's 3,000 pounds, but you better double check the website to make sure. Paints, antifreeze, automotive paints, etc. Those are not part of this project. This is strictly agricultural, done by the Department of Ag. We start Tuesday, July 8th in Cooperstown. The next day, Wednesday, will be in Larimore. Thursday, July 10th, Devils Lake. Friday, July 11th in Rugby. And I'll announce the dates and places of where this is going to be happening as we go through the month of July. Each day at these facilities, the hours are 8 a.m. to noon, and they will take place at the North Dakota DOT facilities within these communities. If you live here in the Fargo area, your closest stops are going to be Valley City, or perhaps you want to drive over to Cooperstown, maybe even Larimore. It just depends where you're at. But these sites tend to rotate around throughout the state so that everybody gets a chance to be able to remove and recycle, if you will, all of these items. So keep an eye out for those. It's going to be, again, Project Safe Send here for the month of July, put on by the North Dakota Department of Ag.
All right. Well, you know what, Bridgette? Let's see if we can get our qualifier for today for the Great Grocery Giveaway, and we've got to beat. We're on track to try and beat Jay Thomas's record of, I believe he said it was 8 seconds. We had the caller call in. Now,
Nice.
yesterday, Addison, it was what we were like, what, 30 seconds, if not a little quicker than that.
I would definitely say even faster.
Okay.
Than that.
So we're on. We want to beat Jay Thomas's record. So. Okay.
And honestly, the only thing I care about is that our qualifier wins
Right,
on Thursday,
exactly.
July 10th at Kingpin. You must be present to win, and this is a great big thank you for a $10,000 grocery giveaway to All Sagar Meats, Kingpin, and our friend Mark Wagner with ND Estate Services.
All right. So today's qualifier is James Anderson of West Fargo. James, you have 9 minutes and 70 seconds to call, 701-293-9000. That's 701-293-9000. Again, that name is James Anderson of West Fargo. If you know James, then shoot him a text. Let him know, hey, you got a little over 9 minutes to call in to qualify for that $10,000 grocery giveaway. So, boy, that, again, what a great prize to have. And, you know, like you said, Bridgette, hopefully it comes from one of our listeners here on WAG. That'd be nice.
Well, and perhaps we always talk about, maybe young families, etc. But if you are someone older and on your own, this is an opportunity for you to stockpile. Hey, Folgers coffee ain't getting any cheaper, ladies and gentlemen. So at $18 a crack for the big canisters, if it's not on sale, I get it. But why not take advantage of it? Think towards the holidays. You want to make sure that you go to our website and get your name down as possible qualifier when we call your name to return that call to the station. But frankly, think ahead to the holidays. It's time to stock up on turkeys at Thanksgiving. Maybe you want to think about that Christmas ham, and certainly steaks for the summer. So you have this opportunity to do so. And again, we thank All Sagar Meats, Kingpins, and ND Estate Services for all of their work on this project.
Absolutely. And be listening in right after 1:45. We'll be doing our Wednesday weather trivia, where we're giving away one of our heavy-duty rain gauges, and brush up on your tornado trivia. It's going to be a two-part question. It's not going to be an easy one.
That.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one, but it brush up on your tornado trivia, and you might win yourself a new rain gauge.
Now, I had someone text me last week and say, where can I find those rain gauges? Because apparently they're not feeling lucky enough to win one with our Wednesday weather trivia. But you can find those National Weather Service approved rain gauges with Darter Plastics. They're over in Minnesota. They would be glad to help you out. And they have a whole lineup of other products. One of the ones I'm most familiar with are the personal bait buckets, because I had those as a giveaway up at Agronomy on Ice from one of our customers who was there that day. So look forward to finding Darter Plastics if that's an item that you need, or just one from us all summer long for Wednesday weather trivia.
Perfect. And we have a returning guest today, correct, Bridgette?
Yep. He'll be joining us in studio, and that is Thad Thoreness. He's with Thor Buildings. Well, let's face it, after the weather we've had the last couple of weeks, this is probably a very timely discussion about what in the world's going on in the construction business as of right now. In fact, my insurance adjuster called just about an hour ago before the show started. So good that those folks are out and about, and that this is the great time to get your questions answered if you're thinking you might need a builder. So we'll do that with Thor Buildings. We will return after the American Ag Network market update. And don't forget, when you're ready to give us a call, you can do so on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Dean, who are we looking for again? Somebody Anderson. Who is it?
Yeah, James Anderson of West Fargo. Addison, how much time does James have left here?
7 minutes, 19 seconds. The clock is ticking.
James Anderson of West Fargo, a little over 7 minutes, 701-293-9000 to qualify for the Great Grocery Giveaway. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Well, there's been an opportunity to go look at our wheat, and I plan on taking it very soon because I want to see if we've had and how much hail damage we've got.
You got
Our farmer Jim has estimated that we have indeed seen some hail damage recently, and we can make sure that we protect that by using fungicides in our wheat. We're at the stage of heading right now, filling those kernels. We've got a lot going on in the field, and we can use a product like Domark from Gowan, USA. Domark is indeed one of their fungicides, and it brings to you better disease protection than less systemic fungicides, which also leads to improved yield and crop quality. We also want to thank Brian Feuder with Red River Retention Authority for being a part of our Here We Grow project this year. Flooding is normally a pretty big problem in the Red River Basin, but this year, maybe a little less on our minds. Nonetheless, Red River Retention Authority is always here to help, keeping us moving forward whenever possible when it comes to legislation and planning down the road for flood control. And lastly, thanks to our cybersecurity superhero, that's Chris Sherman. He's with Tech Support Farm. Having him on this week has been wildly helpful because post storms, there's been a lot of folks that are keeping their eye out for scams, particularly with insurance. They could have folks that are coming to you with odd financing and so much more. So give a call to Chris Sherman at Tech Support Farm to make sure that all of your needs are covered. Speaking of that storm, well, let's face it, our guest probably has his hands full today with a lot of questions, and that is Thad Thoreness with Thor Buildings. So maybe I should just tell everybody to call now to place their orders with you, Thad. 701-293-9000 here on the JLA Insurance phone line. Would that help you out? You got pen and paper ready?
I think we got plenty going on.
Never turn down the opportunity, right?
Never turn down an opportunity.
Okay, storms. We've had a lot. It's been a little breezy out there. All of your construction is post frame. How is that standing up compared to some of the other things going on in the market?
I mean, in a lot of ways, a lot of the post-frame buildings still took it, especially the ones that, build more like us, where you structurally screw everything together and you're not nailing it like the days of old, like a lot of the guys still are doing. But we had some damage, but there's a lot of damage out there. There's a lot of damage. I wouldn't matter what kind of building you had. It wouldn't have taken the tornado that hit the Enderlin area and stuff down there.
Yeah. When someone comes to you and wants to get started on a building project, is that a part of their discussion? I'm in a path where I've had tornado or high wind damage before, and do you take that into consideration as you're laying their plans together?
I mean, you can only do so much. I mean, very unpredictable what happened here now, and we were fortunate. We only had one really bad building got damaged and a little bit of wind on some steel, but I don't think some of that, just wouldn't matter how you plan. There's no planning for what happened.
No, you're exactly right.
And Thad, you had mentioned you guys use a screw method instead of the nail method. How many companies do that anymore?
There's probably only about 10% of us, especially in the post frame, that actually screw everything on.
Why is that? Any particular reason?
Speed. It's still faster to gun nail everything together, but a lot of what you see with the damage, the steel is still sticking to the purlins because the steel is screwed to the purlins, but the purlins are gun nailed on, and it ripped the purlins right off the wood trusses. So there's a lot of roof damage just from that. Like
Right.
if people would switch to screwing, using screws, structurally based screws are still a better way to go than just gun nailing.
Okay.
And you could do all of the framing up work. Do you also do the interior, or do you have contractors for that? How does that process work?
If we're building the shelves, I'd say 75% of them we do start to finish, turnkey options. Almost all the farm buildings, we're doing 100% from building offices or man caves or whatever they want inside. We do, on most of the farm shops, it's all almost 100% of the work we do. We do our own insulating. The only thing we don't do is blow the attic in or pour the concrete. Otherwise, it's our crews. It's not sub crews. We control it from start to finish.
That makes a difference when you always know who's on your job site and how things are getting done and constructed. I mean, at least for me, in any construction project I've been involved with, that makes a huge difference. And I imagine it does for your customers as well.
Yeah, and there's no passing the buck. If something goes wrong, it's, me or my partner, we're the ones who are going to take the blame for it. We're going to get out there in a timely fashion and get it fixed.
So when I heard the description of post frame construction, I didn't necessarily know what that meant right away. I would venture a guess there's probably some listeners that don't either.
Well, post frame construction is just, you're using, instead of putting, traditional stud framing in where you have a stud every 16 inches, you might be going 6 feet or 7'6", and you're doing a laminated column. And instead of having where studs are vertical, the nailers are horizontal. It's just a different way of doing it. And then you're not using all the plywood and OSB because you can screw the steel right to the nailers or the purlins.
When you think about the projects that you're working on, what kinds of things are you currently in the process of building?
We've got quite a few farm shops going on. We do a lot of commercial work. We only took on one shelf so far this year. We got some other ones we're bidding, but right now, even after this, I'm around look at a couple farm buildings where some farmers took some bad damage and are asking us to see if we can help them out before freeze up, and we'll try to do what we can.
So I was at a meeting earlier this week with the North Dakota Ag Commissioner and actually Ag Commissioners from around the U.S. There were also folks there visiting from the Canadian Consulate in Alberta and Manitoba. And we talked a little bit about lumber. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, lumber is not part of the tariffs. There's been an exemption for that. And has supply been still pretty steady and smooth for you on your projects, Brad?
Yeah, we haven't had any problem with anything for supply this year. A lot of the lumber we're using would be southern yellow pine, which is coming out of the U.S. instead of Canada because the tariffs are, it's been more readily available as of right now. So we've been really kind of going that way, and that's been for the last couple of years because it's been so readily available.
Have you had people asking questions about sheet steel and increasing costs in that realm? Because that's a lot of your exterior finish.
And people have asked it all year, but we have not taken one steel increase this year from any of our suppliers. We've been able to kind of get them to hold the price. So I don't know. I think we've been fortunate that way that our prices for everything we're using has stayed pretty steady. I think insulation was the only big one that we saw a pretty significant increase on earlier this year, but otherwise steel and lumber. We bought most of our lumber early, so we haven't had to really worry about it. But I was just price shopping today for a train car lumber, and it was still pretty close to what we bought back in January.
Okay, that gives me two questions to ask you. One is, how big is a train car of lumber? I know a unit train for grain's 110 cars, so I'm wondering if it's the same as when you're placing that kind of order. And then I didn't even think about the fact that you're buying in advance on lumber.
Yeah, I mean, we try to plan ahead and look at what we're going to do because, I mean, we already know what we're going to do pretty much through April next year. We still fill in a lot of farm shops into our schedule because we do so much commercial work. You're always waiting on a permit or a project got pushed or delayed for whatever reason. So we use the farm shops to fill in, and we always are able to take on quite a few of them that way. That's even like right now, kind of wild. We do have some availability that we picked up a couple jobs here from the storm, and it's just because we had some big commercial projects that just got delayed about a month was all.
Okay. And that size of the lumber train, if you're buying, how many cars?
No, we just buy one car a load when we buy it at a time, usually one or two, but you're talking 37 units of 2x4s because it's really what we're buying is our purlins and our wall girts are all high-grade lumber, and then we're just buying them in large quantities to just help control those prices and help our customers out down the road.
So last question for me, and it's only because I'm super nosy. What's the biggest span for a rafter that you've had to put together for someone?
Well, wood is 90 wide clear span is the biggest we've done, but we're doing a project here this fall that'll be a 150-foot clear span hybrid. So it's steel trusses, wood columns, wood wall girts, wood purlins, so 150 is the farthest we'll go.
All right. Well, Thad, hey, thanks for joining us. I have a question for Bridgette. Who still has a house phone? I didn't know people still had house phones that ring.
Hey, I live in Hunter. It's like 1998 up here. Their self-service is that bad, you guys. I'm just thankful somebody answered that phone
Right?
because I was like, oh God, I'm never going to be able to close this segment out. That phone ringing. Dear Lord.
I still have a house phone too.
Do you
I live out by
really?
Rolog and no
Oh,
service
man.
either, so I
Okay.
have a house
Well,
phone
that
too.
makes sense.
I'm with Bridgette.
Hey, at least it's not a rotary dial. I just
No,
came off of that. This phone.
Remember those days? Oh, man. Well, Thad, thank you for coming over and joining us. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Give us a call, 701-800-8467, or look us up on our website, thorbuildings.com, and can reach us through that.
All right, Thad. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great 4th. Be
Thanks for having
safe.
me.
Come
You
back
bet.
with 10 digits.
All
Right?
there you go.
All right. Well, when we come back, you know what? We'll do our weather trivia when we come back because it's a 2-part question. It's a tough one, but you can win a heavy-duty Darter plastic rain gauge. We'll have more on that coming up right after the break. And welcome back to
So
Weather
glad
Neck
to
in Focus on this Wednesday, July 2nd, and it's time for our weather trivia. Again, I said brush up on your tornado trivia. So, Bridgette, I'm going to ask you. Let's see if you know this. So, what's the average number of tornadoes North Dakota sees in a full season?
Okay, so this is average, not like the last 2 weeks.
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
so I'm going to say on average 15.
Okay, it's actually almost double that. It's 32. 32 in an average season.
So, okay. And when you say tornado, these are confirmed tornadoes.
Correct.
Do they have to have touched the ground?
Yes.
Because
if it's not, it's a funnel cloud. So
right, that's what I was looking for.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So so far this season, and a lot of this has just it came in the month of June. We've seen 34. So yeah, it's been a pretty active season. So tornado. That's where our weather trivia is at. And it's a two-part question. If you can get it, I'm going to throw in a little something extra besides a rain gauge. I won't tell you what. You'll have to wait and see. But so the two-part question. First part, which state has the most tornadoes? On average, which state has the most tornadoes? And the second part of the question is, since 1950, which state has never seen a tornado? So which state has the most tornadoes on average? And since 1950, which state has never seen a tornado? 701-293-9000. The second.
That is the JLA insurance phone line, and I am very busy right now writing these notes to myself and thinking through a U.S. map.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, which state on average, has the most recorded tornadoes? And since 1950, which state has never seen a tornado? So we've got a caller on line one. Caller, what's your name?
Recorded tornadoes. This is Dennis.
Dennis, all right. So it's a two-part question. Which state has the most tornadoes?
I'm going to guess Texas, maybe?
That is correct. And since this is the tricky one right here, since 1950, which state has never seen a tornado?
I'm going to guess Texas, maybe Maine?
No. Good try, though. You got the first part, so that helps everybody else up. But, hey, you can call back. You can call back. All right. So let's take this caller on line two. Caller, what's your name?
Larry.
Larry. All right. So which state has on average, has the most tornadoes?
Okay, well, I just heard that, so it was Texas, and I'll think the state that's never seen a tornado, probably Nevada.
No, that's a good guess, though. That is a good guess. All right. Let's go back to caller on line one. Caller, what's your name?
Renee.
Renee. All right. So which state has the most tornadoes on average?
Texas.
Okay. And this is the trick. This is the tricky part. Since 1950, which state has never seen a tornado?
Alaska.
No. That's a great guess. But that's not it. Sorry, Renee. All right. Let's go back to line two here. All right. Caller, what's your name?
My guess just got guessed, so I don't have it.
You don't? Oh, okay. And again, I'll give you a hint. The second part of this.
Really?
The second part of this is it's a trick question. So I don't know if that'll give it away.
Yeah.
All right, caller, what's your name, please?
Chris.
Chris. All right. So which state on average has the most tornadoes?
Texas.
Texas. That was already given. All right. Now the tricky part. Since 1950, which state has never seen a tornado?
None of them.
Bingo.
That's the trick question.
That's the trick part. Yes, every state has seen a tornado since even Alaska, Hawaii, and Rhode Island. Now those are the ones that average one per year. That's all they average. But since 1950, every state has actually seen a tornado. Even Alaska. That kind of surprised me up that far north, but yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna have our producer Addison get your information, and do you know where our station is?
Yes, I've been there before.
All righty. Well, Addison will get your information, and congratulations.
Well, thank you.
All righty. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm not surprised though that Alaska has had a tornado because don't think of Alaska proper, think of the tail that comes down south.
True.
That's probably where it's
The
happened.
Aleutians, the Aleutian Islands, yeah.
Yeah.
It's and then
Well,
Hawaii kind of surprised me a little bit. Although you get those air mass thunderstorms, and every once in a while that could occasionally drop a tornado. So
they can have snowstorms on the mountains. Why can't they have a tornado
right,
on the lower elevation?
exactly,
So that's not really a big surprise.
exactly. So,
But yeah, when I thought of Alaska, I thought more bumping up against the Canadian border is probably where those types of things are happening.
yeah. So good. That was kind of a tough one. That was a tough one. But
It was, but it's when you reason it out, it makes sense.
now most people, when you think of Tornado Alley, the first one that comes to mind is either Kansas or Oklahoma. But you got to think of the geographical area that Texas
Size.
covers. Yeah, I mean, so it's but yeah, we got some smart listeners out there, for sure.
We do. And when you mentioned Texas, I actually got to spend a little quality time with the Ag Commissioner from Texas, Sid Miller, which was very interesting. He was actually one of the shortlist picks by President Trump as USDA Secretary of Ag back in January, but that eventually went to Brooke Rollins when she was announced and confirmed in February. So interesting enough, he's got quite a bit of history behind him and ag relations, if you will. So it's fun to visit with folks from those other states and see what their agriculture looks like as well.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, we're coming up on break. When we come back, we'll do a quick recap of the weather. And Bridgette's got some. We haven't hit any ag topics really yet this week, have we? Well, we haven't. We've got plenty to talk about.
Well, we've got stuff we need to cover.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we come back, we'll again hit a recap of the weather, especially for the 4th of July. All of that and more when we come back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:49 in the afternoon, and Jim Anderson missed out in West Fargo. Sorry, Jim. But we'll have another qualifier for tomorrow, not on Friday. We're running the best of on the holiday, so we won't have any qualifiers on Friday. And weather-wise, we've got some hot and steamy weather heading our way. We're currently in the mid-80s. Outside right now, we'll make it up into the upper 80s today. Only a very, very, very slight chance of a pop-up shower north of the FM area. But other than that, it's going to be a dry day. Light winds, low humidity today. Clear skies tonight down into the 60s. And tomorrow, the heat and humidity build with highs in the low 90s tomorrow. At least there's going to be a little bit of a breeze out of the southeast at 10 to 20. We'll see a round of storms Thursday night that develop out in the western part of the state, glide eastward and northeastward. So I think these are going to miss the southern valley. But from about, let's say, Bismarck, Jamestown, up through Grand Forks stands the best chance of seeing storms tomorrow night. And then Friday, breezy, hot, and humid for the 4th. Highs in the low to mid-90s. And, yes, we are going to see storms coming in late on Friday into Friday night. And some of these are expected to be on the severe side as a cold front slams into the area. Anytime you get a cold front slamming into all that heat and humidity, something's got to give, and Mother Nature might have her own fireworks display on Friday evening into Friday night. The weekend dries out. We might have some lingering showers early Saturday, but we'll dry out and cooler with 70s over the weekend. So if you have outdoor plans on Friday for the 4th, the daytime hours, at least up through late afternoon, right now look okay. But any time after 7 o'clock, we're going to start seeing some of these storms move in. And again, unfortunately, it looks like that could play an impact for a lot of fireworks displays. Now, we'll fine-tune that tomorrow in case something changes. But that's the way it looks right now. Anytime after about 7 o'clock on Friday evening, our chances of storms starts to tick up.
Well, we've already been doing it this many in a row. Why would we slow down now? I guess
Right. Yeah.
question.
Exactly. And you know, if the fireworks displays get canceled in your community on Friday, Saturday night looks quiet. It looks much nicer and less humid too. So it'll be a little more tolerable, I guess you could say.
There's always a positive side to it. So maybe it's Saturday night. That's your positive, not Friday night. We'll just see what it looks like as the weather rolls in.
Exactly.
So there's always, or not always, but the last few years, there's been a lot of talk about cows expelling methane, that there's a problem and that they are part of the climate change and influencing our weather. Well, let's talk about that. Because frankly, it's not really the cows burping. It has a lot more to do with how their manure breaks down. That's what can release even more methane gas than anything else. So what can happen is over lagoons, manure pits basically, especially you see this on large dairy operations, you can put a bladder over the top. It's a gas-tight membrane that traps the gas. Then it's cleaned and it's piped into a fuel system, and it can replace diesel in long-haul trucks and other heavy equipment like tractors and so forth that are prepared to burn methane.
Wow.
So you can take it from the manure and still run a vehicle with it, or at least a piece of equipment.
That is awesome. Wow. Now how long has that been going on, Bridgette?
Oh, quite a while.
Yeah.
This work has been done out at the University of California, UC Davis, also UC Riverside. There's about 130 systems like that operating across California, as California's seen extended growth as a big dairy state. But there's more to come. You know, people are worried about methane because it is 80 times more as potent as carbon dioxide at warming the atmosphere over a 20-year time frame. Well, you've got more dairy animals in California, so one of the things they've wanted to do is reduce that methane problem. But it's not necessarily coming out of the cow, sort of. I mean, the manure is coming out of the cow, but that's when the breakdown happens, and that's where the methane will escape into the atmosphere. So we see that especially on new operations, new confinement operations, where they are trapping methane and able to use it in equipment, even fueling heating systems, much the same like you would do with a natural gas, etc. So those types of things can happen. Now, in a different set of research, this is out of the University of Kansas, they have found a web-based app that provides free satellite monitoring and analysis of vegetation and crop health. It's called the Centennial Green Report Plus. gives you real-time data, not just for the state of Kansas, but really globally. And you can see what's happening with a crop in a specific area. So you can tell if it could be impacted by too much rain or too little rain. Can you see the crop going backwards because of a pest, etc.? So is it getting close to harvest? That sounds really good, but here's the little warning bell that went off for me. If I can see the potential positive in health in a crop, who could use that negatively? Is there someone else globally who can be watching and considering whether or not they want to interfere, so to speak, with that crop, with its harvest, and so much more? So curious to see what people might think about using that. I mean, I think it gives us good real-time data. It's a cutting-edge device, but there is concern with how that could be used and what people could do with it if they wanted to negatively impact our crop. We'll see what that seems to be later. Yeah, keep it in mind. There's can be good, and that can always come with a little bit of bad too.
Right. Yeah, I remember back in the day. Remember that that the methane from the cows are gonna kill our atmosphere and cause global catastrophe, global warming, all that stuff. So.
Well, you've heard me make fun of this before. I mean, yes, that was supposed to happen, but let's not forget that my Aquanet from the late 80s, early 90s was going to do the same thing.
Right.
I mean, there's this special hole in the ozone layer with my name on it because I had some fairly big hair in those days. And before that was acid rain. So there's always been something that was going to kill us. Smog in California was going to kill. We always have something that's going to kill us.
Addison, we've got to get pictures to confirm the hole in the ozone layer. We got to get pictures of Bridgette back in the day to see how big that hair was.
We'll get our best scientists on the case.
Yeah, let's do some research on that.
I've got the pictures. I own it. There was a lot of that going on.
Oh man,
I wasn't the only one. Let's just say girls' locker rooms were highly lethal in case a lighter accidentally went off in there.
I don't know how you women could breathe in those locker rooms back in the day.
Well, between the Aquanet and the Lady Stetson, it was like a cloud emitting itself out the door. I can tell you that much.
It's a slight shift, and I granted I graduated high school almost a full 10 years ago now, but I can guarantee you the boys' locker rooms are worse now because of the Axe body spray.
Oh yeah!
Oh my God, there are kids that are using entire cans.
Are they still using that?
Absolutely, there are
Really?
children that like bathe in the stuff.
Oh man!
So what you're telling me is instead of worrying about methane from the cows, that's the new concern, is the Axe body spray. Should we somehow be capturing that and using it to fuel vehicles?
Yes, worry about I walk past someone, I can be like at the mall in town, I'll walk past someone, I'll get like a whiff of Axe body spray, it like flashes me back, like a PTSD flashback of the high school locker rooms. Hits me like a brick wall in the face.
Oh man.
That'll do it. That'll actually do it for us. Yes, because
where do we go from here?
I don't think I can top that.
Yeah, let's call it a day after.
The next story I have is about composting manure. So I can see a theme for the whole day. I have a word for it, but the FCC said I can't share it on air.
Well, you can say it. I just have to press the dump button.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And mess up my spotless record?
Right.
No.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.